Hey guys, Coach Sean here, and today we are going to be talking about going vegan. So in my last video on January diets, I ended up going to a mad tangent at the end about talking about seeing a lot of people going vegan. I didn't intend to go on that tangent, but once I did, I guess it was something in the back of my mind that I've been thinking about a lot lately. Not actually going vegan, to be honest with you, but just a lot of people going vegan and their motives for it. So I decided to look into it a lot more, and that's what this video is going to be all about. So a vegan is a person or a definition of a food that's free of meat, of eggs, of dairy, or any other animal-derived ingredients. I was surprised to see that I think it's nearly 8% of people in the UK, as well as 8% of people in Germany, as well as 4% of Americans are actually vegan. And we're seeing more and more famous people becoming vegan. Mike Tyson has been a vegan for the last 4 years, which kind of surprised me. Carl Lewis was a vegan when he won his gold medals. If anyone's seen the former defensive lineman David Carter, he's like 300 pounds jacked, but he's somehow a vegan as well. Yet people say vegans find it hard to get protein sources in, which is good for muscle building, yet he's pretty jacked. And there's a ton of other people that are vegans as well. So what are the health benefits of becoming a vegan? A vegetarian diet is inversely proportional to diabetes risk, according to one study, as well as another 2-week study saying that a reduction in eating meat and fish can help improve your mood. A vegetarian diet has also shown to reduce overall risk in cancer compared to non-vegetarians, as well as the American Diet Association saying that vegetarians having a vegetarian diet can have a lot of positive effects as well. So you'll see a ton of sites online promoting the idea of going vegan. I mean, if you were on a site like PETA, you'd wonder why you eat meat at all, to be totally honest with you. And they'll tell you to go vegan like Arnold Schwarzenegger did. And I'm like, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a vegan? That one really caught me off guard. Whatever Mike Tyson changed his life, Arnold Schwarzenegger, probably the most famous bodybuilder of all time, becoming vegan, according to PETA, really did open my mind a lot to this idea. They have the age-old joke you see all the time, how do you tell someone's a vegan? Don't do anything, they'll tell you, and that's the kind of thing. So and that is the one slight problem, because if you listen to Arnold Schwarzenegger about being a vegan,
I don't think that I ever will be a total vegan. I stress to eat less meat, but not to eat no meat.
And that's not the first time I've seen stuff like that from PETA as well. They did the exact same thing with Tom Brady, claiming that he's a vegan. Well, they didn't outright claim he's a vegan, but they practically used the saying, if it looks like something, acts like something, smells like something, then it is that. Whereas Tom Brady has 20% of his diet sources from lean meat. Not exactly a vegan if you look at the definition of a vegan. But the likes of Schwarzenegger and Tom Brady, the second greatest quarterback of all time, I'll give you that, the second greatest, not the greatest, I had to get that in there. Those guys being eating less meat and eggs and stuff, that should be promoted, that they're eating less, rather than outright saying that they are vegan, and then when you look into it, they're not actually vegan. It puts the likes of PETA in a bad light in my book, because they're stretching the truth. It's just not accurate what they are saying. And with that in mind, I've been hearing a lot about inaccuracies in the Netflix documentary What the Health. And from what I was hearing on my own social media sources, it just wasn't an accurate or good movie at all. That is until New Year's, when I was talking to a couple of people about how they had actually watched What the Health. At the time, I had not watched it, and they said it was a real eye-opening kind of movie. So I was like, well, I always talk about needing to form your own opinion on something rather than just rely on others. So I went ahead and got the notebook and pen out, and then yesterday afternoon sat down and watched the Netflix documentary What the Health. If you haven't heard about it, it's a very pro-vegan documentary, and it goes into why eating meat is not a good idea. It's actually a really bad idea, and they say multiple times over again it's very similar to smoking cigarettes. One of the reasons I was hesitant on watching What the Health is that I read it that it was just full of people that were vegans. And the more I thought about it, I was like, well, I hope they are vegans, because if they're talking about this so much and saying how meat is really bad for you, and they've done their studies and that's what they believe in, then they should be vegan in all fairness to them. The only thing is everything they're saying in the movie true? And what's their research like? And that's really what I was interested in, because it was just so different to what you hear out there. The fact that they say, you know, and we'll get to this in a second, that one egg is similar to having 5 cigarettes, that seems like a ridiculous statement to make, but let's see what the facts say. Some of the visuals in this movie really took me back, particularly when they went to Dublin. I think it's Dublin, North Carolina, and they were just seeing, you know, the waste bins full of dead pigs, and showing how the waste is really affecting the area. All the washed up fish and stuff like that was really an eye-opener for me. As well as that, a major theme in the movie was they kept referring to the consumption of eggs and meat as having cigarettes. Near the start of the movie, you know, they're frying up cigarettes to give the kids, stuff like that, saying it's the exact same thing as having meat. I think they had a massive cigarette for a hot dog or something similar like that. I'm not too sure exactly what the food source was, but everything constantly went back to how eating meat and eggs is the exact same as having cigarettes, and they had a lot of facts and studies to try and back that up as well. And one of the overall themes in the movie was to try and promote good health, but they went so extreme in trying to convey that. They were comparing you know, meat industries and the consumption of meat to 9/11, terrorism, multiple Boeing 747s exploding and stuff like that. It was a lot of sensationalism, maybe, you know, step back, and personally I didn't like that, but if that's what they needed to do or felt they needed to do to get their message across, well then, you know, fair enough. But let's look more into the facts behind what they were saying. One thing they did do was they put up on their official website the different facts, the different sound bites they said, and where they got that information from, which is pretty cool to look into that and see where they're getting these figures and not just pulling them out of their you-know-what. One of the facts mentioned at the start of this movie was that the World Health Organization classified processed meats as a group 1 carcinogenic to humans. Basically, they classify cigarettes as a group 1 as well. So they draw one of the links of many links that smoking cigarettes and consuming processed meat is in fact the exact same thing. The only problem with that link, that smoking cigarettes and eating processed meat are the exact same and have the exact same probability for getting cancer, is that the World Health Organization, who put those two things together in the same group, don't actually think that. What they state on the website is that processed meat has been classified in the same category as causes of cancer such as tobacco smoking and asbestos, IARC group 1 carcinogenic to humans, but this does not mean that they are equally dangerous. The IARC classifications describe the strength of the scientific evidence about an agent being a cause of cancer rather than assessing the level of risk. But the World Health Organization does in fact recommend lowering your consumption of meat. So is processed meat the same as smoking cigarettes? Well, 34,000 deaths per year have been attributed to processed meats, which is a lot. Obviously, even one death, you know, to processed meat, you got to ask questions about why that's happening, which is a lot. And as well as that, the World Health Organization also says that if there are links between red meat and cancer, that number can go up to 50,000. But the evidence on that is still inconclusive. They don't know for sure yet, but it could be a possibility. However, smoking cigarettes per year is around 1 million. So 34,000, 1 million. It's not exactly, you know, the same page we're talking about. Maybe it's not even the same ballpark.
The same fucking ballpark. It ain't the same league. It ain't even the same fucking sport.
They kind of like take an inch and they run a mile with it, so to speak. Just like saying that Arnold Schwarzenegger is a vegan when he's not. And same with Tom Brady. But they are lowering their meat consumption. So there is a point there somewhere to be made. So one of the crazy soundbites in this movie is when they say that having one egg is as bad as smoking 5 cigarettes, which totally blew my mind. I can't wrap my head around how that's the exact same thing. I'm sure that they found studies that the eggs might not be good for you. There's a ton of studies as well that says that eggs are great for you, and as well as that, you know, they're a great source of proteins, lipids, minerals, vitamins as well. And there's other studies out there to say that they're great for prevention of chronic and infectious diseases. I don't think cigarettes can say any of that at all, or make that argument anyway in the slightest. So that soundbite just really sounded like a scare tactic to me personally. There was another quote in the movie as well about 2/3 of meat consumers will gain weight. That along the lines of saying the carbohydrates will not make you fat as well, without taking into account lifestyle, calorie intake and all the rest, and what exactly those food sources were, just seemed a bit weird to me. I don't get the reasoning behind it. You know, if you had a small bit of carbs, or if you had a fair bit of meat and a somewhat balanced diet, and you're on a calorie deficit, you're not going to gain weight. I think that's kind of obvious. As providing you had an active lifestyle as well. So there's just too many variables in a statement that's saying that 2/3 of meat eaters are going to gain weight. I just didn't understand that. Or saying that carbohydrates will not make you fat. I'm not demonizing carbs, but I think any source of food, if you have too much of it, if you don't have it in moderation, is going to make you fat. And that also goes into active levels as well. So there's so much to go into that statement, that there was stuff like that just threw me off a little bit on what their overall message was. The movie also goes in on demonizing cheese and dairy products. They almost compare consuming cheese to heroin at one stage, and then kind of slightly backtracking that. But they have some crazy statistics on that as well, that one serving of milk can increase the chance of breast cancer by up to 49%, they say. And then I looked into different studies on it once more, and there's a lot of studies out there that say that there's inconclusive proof that consuming dairy can lead to an increased risk of getting cancer. So near the end of the movie, spoiler alert, they talk about how a lot of health organizations and Susan G. Komen Foundation and all the rest are sponsored by these big businesses and corporations, and that there could be a lot of conflicts of interest. Like, I think it could be the American Health Association, one of them is sponsored by KFC and different things like that, which, you know, KFC every day of the week cannot be healthy for you. So, you know, where do their interests lie? To be totally honest with you, that's a huge rabbit hole that I decided not to go down, because this thing took a lot longer than I thought, delving into the whole vegan issue. So there could be a lot of good points there made. It does seem very suspicious, but who really knows, to be totally honest with you. I mean, just as well as people saying that the studies done for the facts behind a lot of the stuff they say in this documentary is all by vegans. Who's to say some of the studies out there that are be done to say that eggs and meat and stuff are great for you are not by big corporations just to make you consume meat? It sounds pretty much like a conspiracy theory now that the way I say that out loud. So that's one of the many reasons I'm actually gonna stay clear from that. Because the meat industry can have such a huge impact on the environment, and that becoming a bigger issue every year. I mean, you just gotta look at last year. They were talking about when the US President Donald Trump pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement, the big uproar of that online in the media, as well as that when Leonardo DiCaprio won his Oscar. It seems crazy, but that was also turned into a big talk and discussion about climate change when he had his speech there. But then again, when we talk about the environment and global warming and government stances on that throughout the world, you're going down a similar rabbit hole to talking about big corporations sponsoring health organizations and conflict of interest in there. So that's two big rabbit holes for the future that if you're really looking at this video for opinions, analysis on that, you've come to the wrong place. I'm just dealing with the actual food and the plate put in front of me. I do wonder though if we're on the wrong side of history here. I mean, in 200 years' time, we'd be looking back. Well, not us, we're dead. But people 200 years from now look back at us and go, you know, how could they eat so much meat? How could they kill so many animals when they could have different protein sources? I mean, right now we look at different cultures that eat dogs, and we're like, how can they consume dog meat? I don't think a lot of us watching this video right now would, if they had a plate of dog in front of us, they go, great, let's get the barbecue sauce and eat away. We'd be a little bit put off by that, and now that, I don't know if this is a new thing, but I heard a lot around Christmas time that a lot of people are talking about having micro pigs as pets. So I mean, if we're having pigs as pets now, what's to say that we can't, you know, we can't justify eating dog, but we can justify eating pig, yet we have a little pig roaming around our houses. Not my house in particular, I don't think I'll ever have a micro pig. Then again though, I don't know. Just to go back to the very start of this video and why I started talking about vegan diets and people going more vegan, people becoming more healthy, that led me down to this whole video. There is a book out there by Michael S. Freemark called Pediatric Obesity, and in that book the author states that associations between increased physical activity and vegetarian diets among adults may exist, but are most likely explained by the kind of lifestyle choices associated with adopting vegetarian diets, which generally include healthy behaviors such as regular exercise. I think that's the whole point, that people going on vegan diets are not just going to have a vegan diet and leave it there in terms of getting healthier and more active. They're actually going to get more active and do regular exercise, and that's how they become more healthy as well, along with their diet. And you know, it's the exact same thing I ask someone who tells me they're vegan and tells me they're on a paleo diet or ketosis or whatever it is. My very first question to all of them is this working for you? And if it is working for them and they find they feel better and they're able to do their day-to-day work, activity, exercise, whatever it be as well, then fantastic, they should stick it out. If it's not worked for them, that's where they have a problem. And if you look into the studies hard enough, you can find negative things for vegan diets as well. I mean, there was a 2018 study done on 9,668 adult male partners of pregnant women using multilinear and logistic regression showed that vegetarians have a higher depression scores than non-vegetarians. And if you look at that diet alone, at that study alone, do you say, well, you know, I could have higher depression, I better not go with this? No, of course not. You're going to find studies that contradict pretty much anything out there. It's just you got to form your own opinion at the end of it, with how much you read, take that into account. And the bottom line is find out what works for you. And that's pretty much it from this week's Coach Seán on. Long story short, my own conclusion on it, I'm probably not going to go vegan anytime soon, and that's not because of health reasons or anything like that. I find what works for me is just fine. My meat, my veg, I still get my exercise and stuff in. I'm pretty happy the way I eat right now. So you got to find out what works for you once again. That's all from me, from Coach Seán. Take care.